What's up, everybody? In this video, we're going to cover USACO's 2020 January contest at the bronze level. Problem number 1, word processor. If you're here because you've already tried the problem and you aren't passing the test cases, most likely you forgot that you're not supposed to count spaces. This problem is a very straightforward bookkeeping problem. It's the kind of thing you would see in an introductory computer science class or like an AP class. There's no tricks, there's no gimmicks. Just remember not to count your spaces. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. All right, let's read the problem together. Bessie the cow is working on an essay for her writing class. Since her handwriting is quite bad, she decides to type the essay using a word processor. The essay contains n words, where n is between 1 and 100, separated by spaces. So right off, you can see there's not going to be a lot of words. Each word is between 1 and 15 characters long, inclusive, and consists only of uppercase and lowercase letters. According to the instructions for the assignment, the essay has to be formatted in a very specific way. Each line should contain no more than K, which is between 1 to 80 characters, not counting spaces. I'm going to underline that a couple times. Fortunately, Bessie's word processor can handle this requirement using the following strategy. If Bessie types a word and that word can fit on the current line, put it on that line. Otherwise, put the word on the next line and continue adding the line. If you've ever typed, you know how that works. If you've gotten to the end of the line, you have to go to the next line. Of course, consecutive words on the same line should still be separated by a single space. There should be no space at the end of any line. This is another thing that's very important, is make sure you don't put spaces on the end of the line. You have to pay very special attention to when and how you put spaces on. Unfortunately, Bessie's word processor just broke. Please help her format her essay properly. So the input format is going to come from a file, word.in. The first line of input contains 2 space-separated integers, n and k. Depending on what language you're using, some of that might not be very useful. For example, if you're in Python or Java, the n is not going to help you much because you're probably just going to grab the whole line and split it. And then it doesn't matter how many words there are. That is very important for C++, though, because most likely if you're using C++, you're going to be using a for loop and using some sort of fin into some sort of a word, using n as a control for that. You could use a get line with C++ and then split it. There's probably a string stream tool for that, but honestly, grabbing it one word at a time is going to be the easiest way to do it. The next line contains n words separated by single spaces. So for example, this is 10. This says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 words. No word will ever be larger than k characters. So the 7 right here, that's how long a line is. They're guaranteeing that no words will go over that amount. That's only helpful for your control when you're trying to figure out whether or not you need to go to the next line, to make sure you don't worry about getting caught in an endless loop, just continuously going to the next line because you hit a word that goes beyond the line length. Again, they're not pulling any punches on this. It's a very straightforward question. The maximum number of characters on a line, right, is k characters, which in this case is 7, which means on this example, since this is 7, there will be no words that are more than 7 letters. Your output format is to word.out, and it's just the essay formatted correctly. So in this case, let's go ahead and walk through this. You've got hello. So hello is 5 letters, and there's a space, which we don't count, and then my, which is 2 letters. 5 plus 2 equals 7. Since 7 is less than or equal to this, hello and my are going to go on the same line. Name is only a total of 6 letters, because that's 4 plus 2 for name is, which is 6. But the word Bessie would be another 6, which would take us way over 7. So name is goes on one line and Bessie's going to go to the next line, and so forth. So the only challenge to this is really figuring out where you're going to put your space and how do you count your words. So again, if you're using Java or Python, probably you're just going to do get line. And it says the next line. There's only going to be one line of output. We're not going to have multiple lines on any of the test cases where you have to loop through and grab the lines. It's just grab one line and split it. Or if you're using C++, you could write a for loop. I guess you could push it back into a vector. You probably could just read it you could probably do it as you're reading the file. But essentially what you're doing is you're looking at trying to find some way to iterate through this. So in C++, you use a for loop with n, grabbing one word at a time. With Java or Python, you'll probably do a get line and then split it, and then make a for loop going through whatever array list or list or in Python or whatever it is that you've loaded the words into. So as far as getting this organized, I recommend getting a counter and setting the counter equal to 0. And you're going to set up a couple rules. For every word, if the counter plus the length of the word, this really ugly pseudocode here, if the counter, which starts at 0, plus the length of the word is greater than or equal to k, then we need to reset the counter back to 0, go to the next line, put the word on the line, and then add the length of the word to the counter. If, on the other hand, the counter plus the length of the word is not greater than or equal to k, then we're going to print the word. But if the counter is not 0, we have to put a space before we print the word. So let's kind of walk through that, what that looks like. Let me see if I can write out the pseudocode for that. So if len of word plus c is greater than or equal to k, then we're going to do print a line. We're going to do some new line. We're going to print the word, print whatever the word is, and then we're going to set the counter equal to the length of the word, depending on the language, however you're going to do that. Otherwise, if, let's actually do that as an elif. Otherwise, if, let's see, length of the word. Otherwise, if, let's go to the next line. If c is not equal to 0, then we're going to print a space plus the word, because we have to precede it with a space. And we're going to do c plus equals the length of the word. And then finally, if the length doesn't take us over the line and the counter is equal to 0, then we're just going to print the word and then set counter equal to the length of the word. And I know my writing is impossible to read, so I'm just writing it out as I go. So let's recap this. You've got a word. For example, I have my counter equal to 0. I have a new word coming in this case, hello. So if the length of the word is too long, if it goes over the line length, we would do this, but it isn't because it's 5 and the counter is 0. So else if the counter is not 0, we would put a space plus the word. Well, that's also not the case because the counter is 0. So on the first word, we're going to end up in our else. Our else simply prints the word, which is going to be hello. That's going to get printed to the buffer. And it sets c equal to the length of the word. In this case, 5. So our c is going to change to 5. Next pass, I've got this my here. That's 2 letters long. So if the length of the word is, actually, this should not be greater than equal. That should just be greater. If it's explicitly greater, we would go to the next line. In this case, it's not greater. So we go down to the else if. Else if c is not 0. Well, in fact, c is 5 because we just put the word hello out. So since c is not 0, we're going to put a space. And then we're going to put the word, which in this case is my. my. And then we're going to add the length of the word to the counter. In this case, then the counter is going to go up to 7. We get to the next word. We've done hello and my. We're now on name. Name is a length of 4. Since the length of the word, which is 4, plus the counter, which is 7, would be greater than k, because it would be 11, and 11 is definitely greater than 7. We're going to print a new line. In that case, then after the hello my, we have a new line. We're going to print out just the word itself. So in this case, name would go at the very beginning with no space preceding it. And we're going to set the counter equal to the length of the word. In this case, 4. Counter goes to 4. Next word we're going to hit is going to be is. 4 plus 2 is not going to be greater than 7. So we're going to go to the else if. C is not 0, so we're going to have to put a space. And then the word is. And then set the counter plus equals length of the word, which will be 6. Next word we're going to get is going to be Bessie. That's definitely going to go over the limit. So we'll print the new line character, which is going to do a new line after name is. Print out the word itself, which is just going to be Bessie, and set the counter equal to 6. And that's pretty much all there is to the problem. You're getting the words one by one. You're adding the length of the word to the counter, checking to see if that's going over whatever your k value is here. If it goes over, you got to print a new line and set the counter equal to whatever the length of the word is. If it doesn't go over, then depending on whether or not you already have something on the line, you're either going to put a space and then put the word, or just put the word itself and set the counter directly equal to the length of the word. All right, good luck coding it, and I'll talk to you on the next one.